Alright, this walkthrough guide is going to cover the 5th mission in the Steiner campaign, which is the Night Ops Liao Raid. The idea here is basically you're going to kind of shake things up in this Liao base in a continued retaliation for their interference with Steiner operations. Loadout for this mission, as you can see, replaced the Razorback with one of the Shadow's we captured in the previous mission. Other than that, it's more or less the same. Shootist, Bushwhacker, and Starslayer. These gas tanks here you can use on the patrolling vehicles and such when they get nearby, in order to finish them off a little bit quicker. There's an Anubis here that patrols the outer edge, and you can actually back him up into the gas tanks by getting in closer, which also helps keep him from firing the LRMs. Although I ended up killing him before he did too much. And this particular set of gas tanks that I just instructed my guy to attack is the one that needs to be done for this mission. You definitely need to get close with these LRM carriers quickly. As you can see, they really tore up my Shadow with a nice direct hit.
Target locked in. Long shot here. Copy target. Long shot here. Target locked in. Enemy down. Long shot here. Copy target. I got it. That's from company. Where are you? Long shot here. Target locked in.
Definitely at this point things can get a little bit hairy, so you need to pay close attention to what's going on. Another Anubis inside the base now. I think drew from one of the patrols. It's possible to be a little sneakier than the way I was, but it's still very difficult because most of the enemies group up and start attacking all at once. Now we've downed the last Anubis. This is a good point to repair, since you start out with 7,000 RPs. And as I mentioned before, there seems to be a bug with the partisan tank, where it seems to have some sort of trouble firing. In some cases I've noticed it will still, but it seems to have to be positioned in a particular manner. Either way. Because of that, it's sometimes easy to ignore
Objective complete.
that tank in favor of other targets, especially considering
You got yourself some
can soak
ER
up a fair
energy
bit of
weapon
damage.
technology there, Skipper. ER stands for extended range. Same
Now I've
damage,
captured those
but
facilities.
fires farther.
This was the weapon facility. We're good to go.
Repair truck reporting. Cannot comply. I'm on it.
And we're gonna choose, there's two routes to cross this river. The north one is a little hard to see on the mini map, but it's a water passageway, or shallow water. And we're going to choose that instead of the actual bridge, because the bridge itself is heavily defended. The one thing we got to worry about taking this route is there's a storm tank, which basically has dual PPCs on it and can tear apart your mechs pretty quickly. So it's important to kite that one in order to avoid potentially losing one of your mechs in a direct fight. And as you can see, it chose to go after the Star Slayer. So I'm just going to keep moving him away from the storm. And remember, PPCs are long range too, so you gotta have a nice amount of distance to avoid getting hit by them. No, that guy's done.
Long shot here. Good to go.
Alright, now we've crossed the river. We can head to point A. Where there are some resource trucks to capture. You can try heading directly, or it's not a good idea to head directly for the repair bay, even if you need it at this point, because you're still going to draw the enemies that are defending point A, and you'll have to deal with additional enemies at point 3. But here we just have Sha Yu and another mech. Or a pair of Sha Yu mechs. And since that particular one's going after my bushwhacker, I'm kind of... I'm trying to focus on that other one that was going after my Sha Yu, in order to prevent it from taking out my Sensu's mech. So he's taking a fair bit of damage there. Now that he's down, it's time to head back towards those resource trucks. And you can kind of see on the radar that there's the enemies that are defending the bridge I was talking about before. I'm going to leave my sensor mech behind since he's already taken quite a bit of beating.
Enemy resources.
Take out that LRM carrier, and I believe this other vehicle is another LRM carrier here too. Now it's time to head towards the repair bay. I'm gonna decide to use the Xiaoyu as my bait, because I want to keep them away from the battle anyways. And my other mechs have most of the firepower. Definitely go after the storm first, because again, long range and those PPCs can really decimate guys. And the Anubis can actually get in close to avoid damage. He gets blasted apart pretty quick, as you can see, by concentrated fire. Now he's down, and repair bay is ours.
Objective complete.
I can't capture the enemy too close.
And of course, now that we have the repair bay, it's time to use her. And now, as you can see, my control groups are split into basically my weapon mechs and then my sensor mech. That way I can quickly save him from a perilous situation if need be. And have my other mechs come in to protect him. And there is this ridge up here. We want to capture these missile turrets because it will prove useful in a moment. And there's one vehicle that sits right next to the control tower that doesn't move no matter what, which is an LRM carrier. But having a jump capable mech, which is the Star Slayer, although the Xiaoyu is jump capable too, it's not worth risking. And quickly destroy the LRM carrier, and there's actually a storm that's nearby too. So quickly capture that, run off, and then head back as soon as if the storm decides to start shooting the control tower. As you can see, the LRM turrets were capable of finishing it off on their own. But yeah, definitely don't let that get destroyed. I've actually sent my Star Slayer off to the repair bay again. And we can come back to the battle once he's ready. Because in this difficulty and at this point, all your mechs need to be in top shape. Yeah, as you can see, those turrets are helping already. Because we need to basically, what we're going to do here is draw the defenders away from point 4 up to these LRM turrets that we have. Now pay attention to the mechs as they leave the base, and you can detonate those gas tanks up there. to do some damage to them. Although I ended up only catching vehicles. As you can see, it's time for my bushwhacker to get out of there because he took some bad hits. But yeah, definitely another storm that you need to watch out for in this location. Now we've pulled additional defenders out of the base, so Bushwhacker gets into the repair bay, and the rest of mechs come back up to the LRM line. One great thing about LRM turrets too is that they can begin firing on any enemies way before they get close enough to the control tower in most situations. Because it's typically a problem where hostile mechs can get to the control tower before they can be fired on, or fired on enough by the turrets their control tower is commanding, basically. Or at least with SRM turrets in particular. And in that sense, they're SRM turrets are mostly useful when your mechs are nearby to help draw the enemies in, whereas LRM turrets are more capable of doing good work on their own. As you can see, I'm kind of still rotating my mechs as they get damaged. It's best not to take any risks, especially even if it's just a weapon that gets knocked off. That's going to be a setback that can hamper your mission progress. As you can see, there's a resource truck down in this position near the turret generator.
Enemy resources captured.
At this point, since mission's starting to get towards the end, I'm looking around for mechs to spend my RPs on in terms of salvaging. At this point, capture both buildings and complete the last
Objective complete.
main objective, other than extracting
Thanks for the
those.
rescue, Commander. Sounds like you messed him up pretty good downriver. One of their big shots, I think his name was Bong, he seemed pretty scared of you. Listen, I've had it with House Steiner and I could use a job. I was mech warrior about 20 years ago and my call sign was Steel. Interested?
And as you can see, doing that actually spawns some
I'll send a transport to
attacking
extract him, sir. If he checks out, I'll add him to the roster.
This will be our truly final engagement in this mission.
I copy.
So yeah, I think it's just 2 Anubis mechs. Pretty easy nonetheless. And even though my shootist isn't around, my other 3 mechs are more than capable of closing range and taking them out.
Roger that. Silence craft is on its way.
Now they've got the salvage mechs, time to get out. That's pretty much it for this mission.
Objective complete.